Writing 101 students, I want to take a look at the Aaron Zook essay, just in video form. Notice first of all that he has a title page with a header at the top, his title centered. But let's continue. Aaron starts out, about the early 20s, researchers have closely studied the relation between street gangs and violent crime. So he starts off with early references to studies. He cites previous studies. He says the results seem clear. Members of the street gangs admit to a far greater rate of serious crime and to far severe acts of violence than non-gang members of the same age, socioeconomic background. This is not his thesis yet. This is simply some facts that he says the research shows, or some statistics and things. Many researchers have therefore come to the conclusion that gangs necessarily cause violence and deviant behavior. As a matter of policy, then, nice transition words, it seems clear that the solution to a number of social ills is to break up, disrupt, or prevent the formation of gangs. Now, this is not his thesis yet. He's saying it seems like this would be a good idea from what some people have said. But he talks about what other ideas are. Other programs seek to do such and such. Most of these efforts involve such and such. And then he says, after years of study, researchers still do not clearly understand how and why gangs exert such a powerful influence on behavior. A crucial answer might be found in the typical composition of a gang. So now he's honing in closer to his point. Overwhelmingly, gangs are made up of adolescents and adults. The median age of violent gang members is estimated to be 18. Members tend to join in the late teens, and contrary to popular fallacies and urban legends, youth generally leave a gang with few or no consequences within a year of joining. Clearly, then, the gang problem can and should be understood in large part as a youth problem. Researchers might come to a deeper understanding of the nature and impact of gangs by shifting some emphasis on their research from violence to adolescent adjustment behaviors. You see, he's trying to show, that the previous research was really emphasizing the nature and impact of gangs, and what we might want to study instead, in addition to the nature and impact of gangs, is adolescent adjustment behaviors. That might get into the root of some of the issues we're trying to know about gangs. This would be the thesis. Now, I want you to, if you didn't see this as the thesis, that's not a big deal. What I mean by that is you're not going to be tested on the final exam about finding a thesis in an essay. But I do want you to see this as a reading skill. If you're given reading literature to read for another class, sometimes following the logic of the writer and understanding the writer's main thesis is helpful, especially in skimming an article. Then he talks about defining a gang and why certain definitions have worked, have applied to gangs, and certain definitions have not. Then he talks about the numerous explanations given. And I'm going to go to the next page here. Now I want you to know, and I'm not going to cover the whole essay here, but Aaron's essay is kind of intriguing. He has a long introduction, over 1 page long, and the body of the essay is really only one paragraph of the problems of defining a gang, and another paragraph of the various explanations of dynamics involved in gangs. Then he gives his conclusion, and I believe one of you, Matthew, I believe it was, said his conclusion seems to be different from what he set out to say in his paper. And Matthew, I'm going to kind of agree with you there, but I can give an explanation for that, I think. In many cases, a conclusion of a paper will give implications for further research. So the conclusion won't simply summarize what the writer has said previously, but it might introduce new ideas for further research based on what the writer has just said. So, in this case, he talks about what various research has said, and then he says, it might be worthwhile to examine how society itself provides gangs with false or mythical status that might add to their attraction. Okay, so he's giving you his conclusion based on his research, but his conclusion is really a request for further research, or a call for further research, which is very much a scholarly thing to do. So I don't want to tell you that this is a perfect model research-supported essay. I think it's a little bit short, and it's the introduction seems to be a little longer than most students I've experienced seem to write. But at least it shows good APA style, it shows you how to format a paper, and it shows you some strategies in introducing a paper, defining your terms, and giving further implications for further research at your conclusion. I noticed some long paragraphs in Aaron's essay, and I'm not sure that, I might encourage him to break up his paragraphs a little bit. But that's a stylistic thing that we don't have to get into right now. As you pursue your research-supported essay, you'll want to have your introduction, your thesis, your definition of terms if necessary, and your support for your argument. Your conclusion, often in a research essay, will request further research or will be a suggestion for further research. Implications for further study is what it's often called. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. Thanks very much. Take care.